Hi, I'm Pierre Baylor-John. I'm a senior robotics engineer here at Scripps Research, and I'm happy to have an opportunity to present some materials on how to edit Wikipedia. And I'm going to be doing this live here today with the co-director of our screening center, Timothy Spicer, who's also on the call here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Spicer. I'm also the associate editor of SLES Discovery.
So we'll jump right into our first slide here. And I'd like to just kind of give a brief introduction. So, Dr. Spicer and I have started editing Wikipedia kind of as a collaborative effort to update some of the expert knowledge that we have here in our group. And as we've been going through this process, one of the questions has been, how could we share this with other people in terms of, who should be editing Wikipedia, or how can other people with this kind of expert knowledge like we have at other centers, whether it's biological or chemical expert knowledge, how can they get to doing this same kind of work? So we've got a couple quick slides here just to kind of introduce you to the basics of editing Wikipedia if you've never edited a Wikipedia article before. And then what we're going to do is run into a kind of a quick demo online to actually show you what it looks like to edit a Wikipedia article. So the first kind of question is, who can edit Wikipedia? Do you have to have some kind of special access, or do you have to get approved to edit a Wikipedia article? And the answer is that anybody can edit Wikipedia. It's open. You don't even have to create an account. There's some reasons why you may want to create an account before you do so. And we've got some links here that you may want to take a look at to see how you can edit these things. And Wikipedia itself is a great resource for starting out. So if you've never edited before, not only are there Wikipedia articles about editing Wikipedia, but there are a bunch of great tutorials on YouTube as well. So you can go out there onto YouTube and search for editing Wikipedia, and you can find a ton of details. So we're not going to go too much into the weeds today about the specifics of every aspect of Wikipedia. We're just going to kind of give you a little bit of a flavor of what it looks like, and just to kind of to give you a basic flavor here. And so why would SLAS members want to edit Wikipedia? And the answer to that is there's a need for expert editors to edit in different areas of Wikipedia. Obviously, one of those is life science research. So SLAS members would have an expertise in this area. And so one thing we've tried to do is add our own expert knowledge into the Wikipedia website, and we're encouraging other folks to do so as well. So before we go into our live demo, just a couple quick things you may want to be mindful of. This is something that Dr. Spicer and I have run into as we've been kind of starting this process and learning how do we edit Wikipedia articles, and what are some caveats we've run into. One is that for articles that, especially highly trafficked articles relating to public health, Wikipedia greatly prefers secondary sources. So those are things like reviews instead of primary articles. And then also note that if you're going through and you're adding your expert knowledge to Wikipedia articles, that excessive self-citation can get flagged as a violation of the Wikipedia rules. So generally you want to add your expert knowledge, but not just citing your own articles necessarily. And you'll see an example of that today. We've found some articles from a recent COVID-19 special issue that came out in SLAS Discovery, and those are not articles that we published here at Scripps, but all the same, they're something that we think is important. We're going to add to one of the Wikipedia articles about drug repurposing research. So we're going to move into a live demo here where you're going to see Dr. Spicer and I doing a little bit of back and forth on what kind of content we want to add to one of these articles. But before we do so, just a quick tip. As you're going in and editing these articles, you're likely going to want to cite some research. And doing so in the Wikipedia interface can be a little bit difficult because you have to learn some of the markup language for what that reference should look like. And you're going to see that, but there's a tool that the University of Kansas, their School of Medicine, has put out, and we've got a link here. And you may want to make a quick note of that because it allows you to take a Pubmed ID or a DOI ID and paste those in there, and it will generate a reference formatted in the necessary format to put right into the Wikipedia article that you want to edit. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over now to my web browser, and we'll see what it looks like to edit one of these Wikipedia articles in real time. All right, so now what Dr. Spicer and I would like to do is give you a bit of a demonstration of how we do a little bit of live collaborative editing of a Wikipedia article. Dr. Spicer, it seems like one of the ideas that we had talked about when we were reading this Wikipedia article recently was the need to update where the events are going to be held. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's true. So SLAS International Conference, which is the largest one that we have every year, is always held in the U.S. So it's always East Coast or West Coast. And formerly it was San Diego, Washington, D.C. But beginning in 2022, it's going to be in Boston. So let's update that.
Okay. And then I believe we also have an update to make for the 2021 conference that's going to be held online. Is that correct too?
Absolutely, yes. So this year's 2021, due to the COVID pandemic, is virtual, and I would encourage everybody to register for SLAS if you haven't already. If you're a new member, that's great. If you're an old member, registration gets you access to the live venue. Sorry, I should say live virtual venue. So let's go ahead and edit.
Excellent. Okay. Yep, let's share that. So up at the top of every Wikipedia article, you're going to see there's a couple of tabs here, and the one that we're going to be going into actually edit this content is the one that's labeled Edit Source. So we're going to go ahead and click on this Edit Source button, and what you're going to see is a markup language for Wikipedia. So there's a little bit of knowledge. I mentioned you can go on YouTube and find out more about how to edit Wikipedia and learn this markup language. But for the most part, if you just want to make simple text changes, it's pretty straightforward. So in this case here, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to scroll down to the part of the Wikipedia article that was mentioning where the conference is being held. And so you can see right here, we're talking about since 2014 annual meetings held in San Diego. So what we're going to do is at the end of that statement, we're going to add a blurb about let's see here. So we're going to say for 2021, the SLAS conference will be held in a virtual format online. Does that sound right, Tim?
The only thing I would change there is the SLAS International Conference.
Perfect. So we'll add that in here. Format online, and then we want to link so that if people want to see the citation or where they can get more information. So I already have formatted in the proper wiki markup language. So we're just going to come over here and copy that, and we'll come back over here in our editor and paste that. Paste. Let's see here if it did appears. There we go. Okay, so now we've got the citation for SLAS 21, and then we want to make a note here as well about the conference on the East Coast going to be held in Boston as well, right?
That's correct. So it will be Boston in the even years, but you can write it however you like, and then I'll help you edit it.
All right, so let's say starting having a little bit of a snag with my cursor. There we go. Starting in 2022, the East Coast
location.
East location
For the conference. Yep.
Conference.
Very good.
Will be held in Boston, May. And then same thing there. We have a link to the Boston conference in the events calendar. And we come in here, paste, and there we go. And then one thing we'd like to do is just see, since we're looking at the markup language, we want to take a look and see how this would actually look if we were to publish this. So we can go down and scroll down to look at our edit and click on this show preview button. And so now what we can see here is we've got the content that we had before mentioning where the conference was held since 2014, and then also starting in 2021 that the conference will be held in a virtual format online with a link. And if you hover over the link, you can see where that's going. And then similarly, starting in 2022, the East Coast location for the conference will be held in Boston, Massachusetts. Perfect. And then we wanted to also mention something about some of the special editions. Is that right, too?
That's right, yeah. So there's been a lot of recent effort and critical research around COVID pandemic and trying to identify discovery pathways and technologies that will help solve some of the problems with this pandemic. So both SLAS Discovery and SLAS Technologies have recently, this month in December of 2020, just published fully online access, free access for their special collections around COVID research.
Okay, so we want to say something like special editions, SLAS Technology and SLAS Discovery. What did you mention about the open access, which are available online for free?
Yeah, go ahead and just write it, and then we'll go back and edit it quickly. Perfect. So there you go.
And then what we want to do here is, yeah, we'll go back here, fix that. Okay. And then we've got our two references.
I would change special editions to special collections. They're collections.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to, so I'll do a quick show here of what that University of Kansas tool looks like. That's this. Here we go. What we're able to do is, in this case here, these SLAS collections, they all have PubMed IDs. And so if you go out to this University of Kansas School of Medicine tool and you put a PubMed ID or a DOI ID in here and you hit submit, what comes up is a rather helpfully formatted in the Wikipedia markup language content that's ready to post on the Wikipedia entry. So here it's gone ahead, and you can see that if we were to try and type all this out, it would have taken us a couple minutes, right? We would have format the name of the journal, the year it was published, the volume, the issue, and they've already gone out and hopefully retrieved all that. So all we have to do in this case is we can highlight this, we can copy it, and then we'll go back over to our Wikipedia article we're editing, and we're going to paste that in there as a reference. And then we could do the same thing. I already have the reference generated for the SLAS Technology Special Collection, so we're going to paste that right after that. Get this back here. Go. And then we're going to go and we're going to do our show preview again to take a look at our changes. Okay, so we've got our content here about the conference being held, and now we've also added in here the bit about the special collections. So we're saying special collections of SLAS Technology and SLAS Discovery have been published in December of 2020, which are available online as open access articles for research related to COVID-19. And then we cite the two letters from the editors of those two special collections. Does that look good, or do we have any other edits you'd like to make to that?
I think it looks perfect. Just to be 1,000% sure people know where to find these PubMed IDs or DOIs, you can usually Google for them when you're Googling for a publication or an article. It will come up as part of that search. So,
yep, perfect. So now that we're happy with the edits we've made, we're going to scroll down to the bottom of the Wikipedia article, and you're going to see here we've been clicking previously on the show preview. Once we're ready to actually commit the changes to Wikipedia, we're going to click on this publish changes, but first we're going to add a little summary of the edits we've made. So we're going to say here that we have updated information regarding our conference locations in 2021 and 2022. Also included information regarding special collections for COVID-19. And then when we're happy with the summary we put in there, we'll go ahead and click on Publish Changes. And now we're live. So now anyone who goes to see this Wikipedia article moving forward, they're going to see this new content that we've added in here. And then what we have is one other quick example is one of these special collections that we were just discussing has a a point that we think would be helpful to add in. So there's a Wikipedia page for COVID-19 drug repurposing research. And on this page, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a list of further reading materials. And so we think that it would be helpful to add in one of the drug repurposing review articles that was just published in one of these special editions. So we're going to go ahead and add that in here. So we do something similar to what we did on the previous page. If you get to a specific section that you want to edit on a Wikipedia article, you can edit just that section by going over to the edit source link that is to the right of the section header. So you click on that edit source link, and then we're going to scroll down here a little bit to the bottom of the section we want to edit. Scroll down here as well. We want to add our edit here to the end. A little bit of difficulties here. So the screen share we're having, but let's see if we can get this cursor to come up.
You're working on that, Pierre. The only thing I would say is, as things to watch out for when you're editing wiki articles, they are watched by not only wiki, but they're watched by people that have founded them themselves. And there are ways that they can reject your edits. And some of the pitfalls that we've come across are you have to be careful not to edit things that are heavily referencing human health, things like cancers and cardiovascular disease. If you were to say, oh, I found an inhibitor that seems to ameliorate certain types of cancer around pancreas or pancreatic cancers, that's way too overzealous for things like the pancreas cancer Wikipedia page, and it will get bounced out in a hurry. So you have to be very careful about the types of edits you make. Although if you're in the right place at the right time, they tend to hold and you get it done.
So you can see here I was able to get the new review article regarding potential repurposed therapeutics and new vaccines for COVID-19 and their clinical status. That has been added now to this further reading subsection about this COVID-19 drug repurposing. Does that look like it's good to go, Tim?
I think it does, yeah. Looks great.
Okay, so we're going to go scroll down here, and like we did on the last page, for the edit summary, we're going to go in here and say added review article from December 2020 special collection. Let's see here. This discovery. Okay, like that. We can go ahead and publish those changes. And now anyone who goes to see this article as well will now find this SLAS discovery review on these potential repurposed therapeutics listed under the further reading section of this article as well. So I think those are the live edits we had to demonstrate. Hopefully that was helpful to folks who are interested in editing Wikipedia to kind of help add their own expert knowledge. Or as Tim mentioned, you may see information that someone else has added to a Wikipedia article that needs some edits, and that's helpful as well. So the general techniques that you've seen here are applicable to adding new information or editing information that's already been published by someone else. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Tim, about some of these efforts in addition to some of the pitfalls?
No, I think that's great, Pierre. Nice work.
Great. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for watching the video, and hope you have a eventful time here editing Wikipedia.